So welcome. And I hope you can hear me okay. And I hope you've got your glass in hand. We've got an awesome author that's on tonight. 5 books. See that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's amazing body of work when you meet this amazing female tonight. Kim, we should call her by name. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe and share this around. I need a secretary. I can't do all this by myself, so I really appreciate your help. And here's Veronica. Hey, Veronica, how are you? Thank you very much for checking in and checking it all out. And for anyone who is an artist or is thinking about being an artist, and Terry in California, hey, how are you? Thank you for checking in. Anyone who is an artist and who wants to become an artist or knows an artist, so maybe I've just covered off everybody. This is great insight to someone who's done the work. Not talking about it, no, who's going to do it. This is great insight to an artist so her foray is actually writing books. Amanda, hey, how are you, Mandy? On the Gold Coast, how are you? Writing books, and I just want to get insight and talk to the person behind it that has the idea and gets it happening into reality. And let's get straight into it. There we go. Kim, how are you?
Hi, how you going?
And we've got a few people here already saying, hello, Deborah. And we got Stuart in Canada. So we already have California and Canada online. Hello. So I might just zip to you for a second, if that's all right, Kim, if you can tell us who you are and what you do. There we go.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name's Kim. I'm currently based in Brisbane, Queensland. We're in lockdown at the moment due to COVID-19. I am a full-time writer, but I also work full-time on the side as well for the public service. But I'm very big on short stories, writing, mainly in fantasy and sci-fi. And in my spare time, I guess when I'm not delving into books that others have written to escape for a little while, I'm sort of making up my own. Thanks for having me, Dave.
No, you're more than welcome. So maybe I'll just click on this button here. Can we maybe straight to the name dropping, like what accolades have just happened for you? And that's as of last week. What's some of the cool things that have just happened?
Yeah, well,
as in like you got your book printed and all that?
Yes. So book 1 of the Funny Ever After series, as you said, I saw that you name dropped 5 books. I've only written 3, so just hold on.
Yeah, well, it's coming.
I'm just like pressure.
Oh, everyone, Deborah's saying hi, Kim.
So as of March 15th, my book actually dropped, which is very, very exciting. It's called The Gilded Mirror, and it's book 1. So I've got a few copies here, which is super exciting.
Let me zoom in onto that. Cool. Wow,
so
The Gilded Mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Very what, sorry?
I said it's very fairy tale-esque.
Awesome. Nothing wrong with that. That's cool. And as we were talking just off air just before about mythology, there's a lot of stuff actually based on mythology. Star Wars, Matrix, The Hunger Games, and a myth. You know, we all, even being a guitarist, as I was telling you before, you know, you always have that hero in mind. So,
absolutely.
About you're trying to be, so can we maybe unpack how you got to get something published, which is amazing for a start. So thank you and congratulations. Here I am saying thank you. I've got to work on my script. How did you get that published, and what did that look like?
Look, it was a lot longer than I thought it would be, but to be honest, it's a very hidden and secret world. I found that when I'd finished the book and I'd edited it, and I kind of had this manuscript there, I kind of sat there thinking, like, what happens next? Like, where do you even go from here? And a lot of it was research and Googling, and I joined up to the Queensland Writers Centre, where you can sort of connect with other writers, because at this stage, I guess, writing is a very individual hobby, so connecting with other writers can be quite beneficial. And a lot of
finding your tribe.
Literary agents, absolutely, finding a tribe. So I did pitch to quite a few literary agents, things like that. Got a lot of rejection letters, but that's the way of the game. Until my dad actually stumbled upon a small publishing house down in Victoria, and their ad was in a writing magazine, and they had a competition going to get your book published, and I actually came runner-up in that last March, I think, or May, and it's taken about a year to actually get it printed, formatted on the shelf.
Wow.
So if I'm being honest with you, I've probably edited this book maybe 12 times. Like by the time it hit shelves, had a lot of eyes and a lot of rewrites. I'm telling you now.
Oh, wow. That's cool. And
Yeah.
so getting it fully edited, I guess I can say the same as I was saying before. May as well just do a shameless plug as well for my record. Like that's nearly 2 years worth of work, and someone listens to it for 25 minutes. You go, oh, cool. No, but it's nearly 2 years worth of decision making. What should I and what shouldn't I? So with actually writing your book, like making the decision, like, with the characters and the plot. And I remember watching something on, what's that really famous Dungeons and Dragons-y sort of show that's got lots of
Game of Thrones?
explicit. That's it. Didn't they have like 1,000 characters in that story?
Yes.
Something crazy like that. And I remember watching this documentary, they actually drew out the scene, like where the buildings were. So when they actually tell the story, that it's all in context, because they had to actually have a model. Like, yeah. So I'm asking, for your story, did you do a model, or did you, how did it unfold?
So there's an article that I read a while ago that I really resonated with, and it says that you've got 3 types of writers. You've got your hey Philip, how you doing?
Phil's in. Sorry, dude. We got New Zealand on now. We got 4 continents: Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and America watching. And Toby's in California.
Hold us down.
4 continents. We need one more continent. Where's England? Let's go. All right, sorry. Keep going.
No, that's all right. So you've got the first type of writer is a pantser, where you sort of just fly by the seat of your pants, you write down whatever comes to your head. You're like, oh, cool. This is where it's going to go. This is what I'm doing now. Then you've got your planner, where they're the people, with the boards, and they like link up who's going where and what chapter's going to have what scene and how they're going to get to where they need to go, and everything's planned out. And then you've got someone called a plantser, and they're the person that apparently has the pot, and they put in a little seed, so they roughly know what the story is, but they've got no idea how they're going to get there. So the journey is sort of like beginning and end, and somewhere like this in between. I'm a plantser.
Plantser.
So,
how do you spell that?
Yeah.
Plantser.
Plantser.
Plantser. And that's you, is it?
All it means is that I knew my beginning, I roughly knew the middle and the end, and I had no idea how to get there. And somewhere in between, I ended up with 5 books instead of 1. So
that is amazing.
Wow.
Wow. And I guess there's probably a 4th one called a poser, the one that doesn't actually do anything.
Yeah, the one that tries really hard.
So, and we've got. Well, as I said before, just off air, that this is inspirational for me, because I would actually like to finish writing a book and about something pretty hardcore, which we will go into. But I've got one of Monica Bear says legend, mate. So Monica.
Hey guys.
And I should say also too, if anyone's got any questions to ask Kim, please type them sooner than later, and we will get to them. So how did you identify what type of writer you were? And how did that help or hinder making the book? Books.
That's an interesting question.
That's right, because I'm a pantser. I just made that up. So, like...
just winging it. I feel like that's exactly what I'm doing with this answer right now.
Oh, right. Okay. All right.
Look, I've written a few different things, like short stories. I have rewritten a few different fairy tales that are about 5,000 words or less in an older language.
5,000.
So yeah.
Older language. What's the older language?
Kind of like, how the original Grimm fairy tales are in the Dark Tales, and how it's written, I guess, very differently to what your modern style of storytelling is with our fantasy books and genre.
This one there for you.
So yeah.
Good on you, Martin. Good on you, Martin.
There's so many more questions there.
All right, my mum's watching. There's my mum. Okay, my mum used to read Mills and Boon. Oh my God, Mum, what were you reading? All right. Anyway, sorry. So, old language. Can you give us a demonstration of old language?
Older language. So
Old,
I guess the first paragraph in my book is an example of that, but it's different to the way that you would tell a modern tale. So a lot of the book that a lot of the writing that I took for the book came from, people like Sarah J. Maas or Marissa Meyer or, Tolkien. And I sort of like amalgamated a lot of what I really loved about their styles, and I sort of created it in my own way. And it just evolved from there. So apparently I over-describe until I edit. So we'll see if we can pull that back.
And we got a question here. Is it kind of like Harry Potter style?
Not so much Harry Potter, no. I'd probably do it more of a Dark Fairy Tales crosses Lord of the Rings or Throne of Glass. If you know those references, yeah.
I know Lord of the Rings, but and who is the target audience of your book?
Young adult question. For sure, 13 to 18 at this stage. But I've got a lot of friends in their 20s who still love young adults. So, yeah.
And I got told to stay that way. Okay, Fables and Troll Dolls. Not sure about that one. So
it does have trolls.
Oh,
it does have trolls.
Okay, that's good. And are we allowed to maybe hear like the first paragraph of your book? I'm just interested when you say old language. Is that like for art now when they're the oldest? How they?
It's a little bit later than it's later than Elizabethan. It's not as Taoist or anything like that, but it's just the way that it's a little bit, I guess, more formalized in the way that it's written. Dark Crystal, you could probably take some Dark Crystal elements into it. Absolutely. Let's see if we've got it here. So old language. You've caught me now.
Okay, we'll zoom in now. Here we go. Everyone grab the. Hey, let me grab the drink. Have you got it? So the first thing of your book's a picture. That's awesome. I can read that.
It's a map that I drew of the realm. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, how cool is that?
We just thought we'd shove it in there. Just ignore my horrible handwriting.
Okay, all right. We're listening for the old language.
So it's the opening paragraph of the fairy tale, which is plastered at the end here, is like an extra little piece of the book on top of. But It reads, once long ago, in the quaint village of Cawdor, lived a little girl and her merchant father. She wore a crown of lilacs handmade by him, he who lived for her laughter. He who would dote on her, and when she would sing, he would clasp as if he stood in the grandest theatre with the finest company. They would dance until sundown and laugh until blue. Their little haven, he would say, whilst he held a candle and told her grand tales of dragons and swords. Although they were poor, their house but a ramshackle wooden jumble in a glen, the little girl never wanted for anything, for they had each other. They were happy for a time in their quaint village in their little glen, for he was her king and she his princess. So, see how it's a little bit more formalized?
Right, because the opening paragraph has to establish the characters.
Yes,
is that correct?
But that's I guess a tidbit, sneak peek at the fairy tale at the end. The actual book starts in the prologue.
Oh,
yeah. So what I've done is
do you have to read the prologue?
But I've written.
You have to read the prologue
Story on top of it. I can start the prologue if you want.
Oh no, I'm just saying because every time I read a book, I always skip the prologue.
You absolutely have to read a prologue.
Oh, whoops. I know a librarian at work, and she's going to kill me if I've been telling her I've been skipping the prologue.
Prologues set up the before. They set the scene of the before. Oh. So when you start chapter 1, you actually know what's going on.
One job. Whoops. Okay, and we have some questions here. So I've just learned something. And Tony says, so before we answer this question, I just want to thank Mr. Tony Bear is a legend. He is an intelligent human who solves problems before people even know problems exist. This guy actually made this connection. So, check out Mr. Tony Bear. He's very, very funny. He laughs at all my jokes. Yeah, thanks, Tony. And superhuman when it comes to working all things IT. So he asks, how do we get a copy? Distribution, is it?
Yes. So you can get copies at Dimmicks, Booktopia, Book Depository, Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, Kindle, ebooks, so anywhere where good books are sold. I've got a couple of independent bookstores who have agreed to take on the book as well throughout Brisbane and Tassie and that as well. But at this stage, Dimmicks is not on the shelf as they're only stocking the big five at the moment due to COVID. So unfortunately, my little publishing house can't have it on the shelf at this stage, but it is to order. Otherwise, Booktopia, Bookpository, all post overseas straight to your doorstep.
So if someone wanted to get it from one of these stores, they have to go and ask and annoy someone to get it ordered in at the moment?
No, so they can just jump online and order it, or
okay.
if you're in the city at Dimmicks, you can ask at the counter there and pay for it, and they'll order it for you in.
And sensational. So this is a series. So book one of how many are out now?
So just book one's been released. Book two will come out March next year.
Sensational. How inspiring is that? That's awesome. That was for Tony, and I thought the trolls would be in the mix. That's very true. Medieval language type, yes. Who created the artwork cover? There we go.
So the illustrators at the publishing firm, I'm publishing with a company called Shoreline Publishing, and they did it. So I feel horrible that I don't know their name. I'm like, I'm so sorry, okay. I will find it.
Well, Veronica's an artist, so great question, Veronica. And is it similar to Hunger Games, the storyline plot? I guess, I don't know.
I mean, Hunger Games is more post-apocalyptic. This is more dark fairy tale fantasy. I guess in the context of the way it's written and the love triangles, yes, absolutely. And I guess the battle against a society that doesn't exactly welcome everything. So, and there is a rebellion in it too, which I guess her being the Mockingjay. So I guess you could say those connotations of it.
Cool. One of my favorites is A Never-Ending Story.
Oh, me too.
Yes, that's good. I actually arranged the music for A Never-Ending Story for one of my assignments into odd time. Ending story. Anyway, it's another joke, but it's a true story. I extended the never-ending bit, and no one thought it was funny when I did it in my recital. Anyway, moving along. I totally missed Bedtime Stories. Well, now you have one now. There you go, Martin. Read the preface too. Should we read the preface?
I can read out a little bit. I think the whole preface is like 6 or 7 pages long, so it depends on how long you want me to sit here.
No. I'm sorry. I was just actually asking as like an author who spent all this time making sure that it has a preface, the prologue, as a reader who's been skipping the prologue for I don't know how many years. Whoops, one job. Because I was like, this book doesn't make sense. It takes ages to get going. Probably because I missed the prologue. So should all the readers read the preface? Is that a must read, like when you're actually reading a book?
I would say yes. I mean, especially with mine, it is. I find that it's the scene that grabs you. The prologue in my book is actually based on the villain. So it's an introduction to the villain and her doing something quite not very nice. I'll try not to give away any spoilers.
Okay. Oh, well said. That's cool.
She doesn't do something very nice, and it sort of grabs you, and immediately you're like, oh, well, she's kind of cool, but also that was pretty mean. What happens next?
Awesome. Another question for you. Is it like Cinderella?
Yes. So with the fairy tale vibe with that, absolutely. There is, Cinderella, there's references to Snow White, a lot of the bigger ones as well. But there's also little fairy tales that I've sort of hidden and snuck into it. So things like the Little Matchbox Girl, the Soldier in the Tinderbox, the Three Brothers. So I've sort of taken from Russian, Arabic, African, and Eastern European fairy tales, and I've sort of mixed them all in.
Wow. That's awesome. I didn't even know there was like Russian fairy tales. The only Russian fairy tales I know are the ones that are in a hurry. That's good. And it says here, one job for me. Yes. Hi, hey, Ronnie. How are you, Ronnie? Tony Teddy Bears. Yes, that's congratulations on your book. Yes. Princess Bride. Does that resonate? Sorry, I'm just catching up with the comments.
Bride. Toby's favorite. Thank you, Toby.
Toby's in California, so yeah, that's awesome. The Dark Rebellion. And we got, that's who my son's dog's named after, Falcor. Wow. There you go.
There you go.
Yes, it was. Yes, and don't forget to read the cover. Make it the wrong book. And so proud of you, pint size. So is
That's
that?
my friend Candy. She's nicknamed me pint size because I'm 5'2". Yeah. In
Oh,
case
really?
anyone needed to
Okay.
know my height.
You might write books faster if you're smaller. Then, and we got here similar to Snow White.
Very.
Is it similar? Okay, cool. And so like Easter eggs in the movie. Oh, right. Okay, cool. As in, like, I think that was because I'm catching up with the comments as you were saying, like little surprises. Yep.
Yes.
So
So each book has Easter eggs leading up to the last book. So currently in book 3, I've actually littered quite a few Easter eggs for events that will happen in book 4 and 5.
So let me get that straight. Easter egg terminology is actually a real thing in a book.
Yes. So Easter egg terminology is more so for movies. So, but we sort of use it in books as well. So it's sort of when you like leave like a little bit of a subtle clue or a riddle, or you like foreshadow something that's going to happen later on. So, you know, something like someone will mention, I don't know, twins or something, and I'll talk about twins, and then you find halfway through the book that this person has a secret twin. So it's kind of like foreshadowing, but they call it Easter eggs.
And Brianna would like you to unpack foreshadowing. Hey, Brianna, how are you? All right. Okay. So she's probably actually, is that a question, Brianna, or is that a statement? Well, there's a question mark on it. Like little hidden references. Yes. And Easter egg hunt. Yeah. Very, very true.
Down a big
and
scary
it's big.
rabbit hole.
So is that all right? Because are we in your workspace right now? Are we allowed to have a look at your
Yes.
workspace of where you do all the fine work? I'll just zoom in. Here we
Absolutely.
go. So where are we? What are we looking at now?
Well, this is my lounge room / study. I've actually, like, this is my study desk here for everyone. It's got a lot of Little Mermaid memorabilia. I'm a bit of a Disney fan, in case nobody ever knew.
So you love Little Mermaid, is that true?
I do. I'm a massive Little Mermaid fan. But out the back here is probably my favorite, my book collection.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a little messy right now, but I do love it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And do I see you have a guitar in the background there?
I do. So this is my brother's Fender. Is that what I called it? Fender?
Yeah, it's a Telecaster. Yeah, right. Okay. Wow.
See
a little Fender. Oh, that's
He's
okay.
next to my Yoda.
That's okay. Awesome. Yoda. Oh, Star Wars fan. Excellent. Wow. And I think you said off air just before you had a comment about you went to get your guitar serviced, and what did you call it?
I took it into the Guitar Brothers here in Brisbane, who I've had heard really good reviews about the servicing and cleaning guitars. And I went in there and I told them that I had a Fenty that I wanted to get cleaned, and the chick behind the counter was like, "That's a makeup brand, not a guitar."
Fender.
I just looked at her and I was like, I swear I'm smarter than this, I promise. Anyway, it turns out it's a Fender, and Fenty is a makeup brand by Rihanna, I think.
Details. Can you play your makeup? Yeah. One job. Everyone says, I got one job. Yes, you got one job. Get the guitar right. And Brianna says, thank you for explaining, Brianna. That's cool. You're referring to the foreshadowing. And charming guest. Cool. There we go. Toby says you're awesome. And Yoda. Yes. And how long did it take to write? Tony Bear's got a question for you.
Book 1 was probably my fastest. I did so remember how before we got on the show, I was talking to you about something called National Novel Writing Month? I don't know if you guys, anyone out there who's heard of it, but it's an organisation or a non-for-profit where you sign up to write 50,000 words in 30 days over the course of November 1 to November 30. And it's a challenge that I really wanted to do, and I'd done it the year before and I hadn't made the 50,000 words, but I tried in November 2018, so that's when this was actually written. And at the end of the 30 days, after a lot of blood, sweat and tears and cancelling a lot of events, I got through 77,000 words in 30 days, and I ended up having the book finished by Christmas at a beautiful 96,000 words. So what you're reading today is 93,000, so 280 pages.
93,000 words.
In 6 weeks, yes.
I
on a
struggle
mobile
writing
phone.
an email sometimes. Wow. With 100 words.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
So by
amazing.
the time book 2 came, it took me a lot longer. I think I put that on hold for like 4 months and then went back to it. But this one was, yeah, smashed out. Huge learning curve, massive journey, and very, very exciting. Mm.
So before we get to the illustrations, I just want to ask, so what did it actually look like day to day to actually get that kind of workload done? Because if it's 50,000 words in 30 days, I guess you're writing more than 1,000 words a day. Yes, very smart. Excellent. So that's nearly 2,000 words a day.
Yeah, it's about 2,000 to 2,500 a day. If I was under for that day, because my birthday's in November as well, so like I take a day or two off. I generally on the weekend I write a bit more, like maybe 3 or 4 or 5,000. So I guess to just answer that question at the same time, the entire thing was written on my mobile phone on a program called Wordsmith. Yes,
Word.
so it's called Wordsmith.
Oh, right. I thought you said called Word, Microsoft Word.
No.
Okay, Wordsmith. Now, is that some kind of cool tech, or is...
It's kind of like, instead of using notes on your phone, it like formats it into a novel. So you can do the chapter and the chapter breaks, and when you convert it onto your Word document or computer, it's sort of already formatted. So it just gets you in that novel headspace. But yeah, entirely on a mobile phone. I've got a little indent on my finger where my phone's been sitting. I'm now that person that...
Okay, can we have a look at your finger again? Where's your finger again?
It's like indented in here. Yeah.
Oh, because you've literally...
Really yeah, just mobile.
So you pumped out this book with your thumbs?
Yep. I get hand massages once a month. Yep.
Wow. That's amazing. And my mum says, you're awesome, inspiring for young teenage writers. Well done. There you go.
Oh,
that's
thanks,
awesome.
Gabrielle.
And we've got a question here. I'll come back to Veronica here. Are there many illustrations in the book?
No,
books,
not at
plural.
this stage. Books. We've got the map at this stage, which they wanted to put in as the original drawing instead of getting a graphic designer, because it just brought a bit more of, I guess, the organic charm to it. If I do sell a certain amount of copies, I will be able to get either a hardback or a special edition of some kind. I'm hoping when, if I do sell enough copies and it is, brings magic to people's lives, that I hope that it does, then hopefully I can get some illustrations. And if I do, I really, really, really want to get the old dark fairy tale style illustrations. Like, I don't want it to be that modern cartoon. I want it to be that very dark Grimm Brothers, a lot of
fantasy.
Shadows and dark forests. I think that would be a beautiful addition with gold trims. That's the dream, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's amazing. And has this always... Another question from New Zealand. Phil in New Zealand, how I met him on tour a couple of years ago. Well done, sir.
Hey, Phil.
Rock and roll. Has it always been the direction of has this always been the direction of writing for you? Like fantasy based?
Fairy tales, fantasy? I would say yes. Another book that I started when I was, I think, 15 is sci-fi, but I always knew that it would be fantasy, sci-fi of some kind. And yes, I do have RSI in that hand. But yeah,
because this is the modern...
Absolutely love it. So yeah.
Because I remember reading about Ernest Hemingway, because he was a master of ergonomics, and which I love. So if you ever see my guitar pedal board, everything has to be planned out. So when I'm playing and singing, I don't want to look down. I don't want to trip over and hit something that I shouldn't. It's ergonomic. Getting back to Ernest Hemingway, he had his typewriter on a what do you call it? I don't know what you call it. A tall table. I don't know what you call it, but it'll come to me in a second. So he would go to the kitchen smoking his pipe, and then while he's thinking, then he would write, because he said that, I remember reading this article saying that you think more clearly when you're moving. And here we are, all these 100 years later, about ergonomics. You got to stand up when you're in the office, and you got to take a break, you got to move. But he was the master of, like, if you're moving, and then come back and then type it out. And we have another question here. So anyway, my point is making the relationship to how most people lock themselves in a room to do writing, but were you on the road writing with your thumbs? You took your office everywhere?
Yeah. Yeah, so I did it on the bus on the way to work, on the way home, when I was waiting at the pub to have dinner with friends, when I was, on my lunch break at work.
That's
everywhere.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's the only way I could do it. There's not enough hours in the day.
You must be a master of tasks. And we have an awesome question here from Brianna. When are you bringing out the limited edition cover?
Hopefully when I can sell enough copies, and then maybe we can get something organised. So hopefully soon, Brianna.
Okay, cool. And you should tour high schools and speak to young student writers. Your success would inspire them. So if there's any agents out there need to hook that up, and that's awesome. And Martin says, sorry about my predictive programming. Fair enough. Trolls and RSI. What's next? Yes. Oh my God. Great way to multitask. So cool. Yes. So about the actual process of the next couple of books. Oh, actually, I've just saw your cup. Who's got the best cup?
I do.
Where's your cup? You do. You've got a golden chalice looking thing, so I think you probably win by
it matches
default.
My Star Wars shirt.
Oh, hang on, let's zoom into that. You got a, what is it? Where's your shirt?
It matches my Rogue One Star Wars shirt.
Okay. So, chalice, yes. So, as an author, when you're in the like, what would you call it? I'd say pump it out mode. What do you call it? Writing mode. So when I'm doing a record, as I just have been, because I know we've only just met like an hour ago, so I'm actually in the process of recording a new record. So when I am in that moment of doing something creative, I don't listen to anything else. Like everything I've listened to before it comes, and whatever it is, it's coming out. So I'm just asking, when you're working, do you still read? Or do you just completely zen, just need to focus, get the job done?
When I'm writing, I want to completely focus on writing. I guess I read books in between, but yeah, when it's writing zone, I know that if I start reading, especially another genre, it completely throws me. So I've got so many sci-fis on my to-be read list that are currently like put aside for when I finish writing the fantasy. I can then read the sci-fi and then finish my sci-fi series. So I'm sort of clunking it into an order because I am like you. I get distracted by all of the other noise for it, and it throws me off a bit with the work. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you say that, because even like going out, I can't concentrate on someone when there's music playing, because as they're talking, I can working out the bass line. Oh, what key is it in? Anyway, that's just what I do. But I have some other questions here for you. It says here, I'd love to illustrate books. Any tips for her, Veronica? How to get into illustrating? Any ideas on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you've got work that you have and you're, I guess, promoting on Instagram and things like that, I know that there's a lot of authors out there, especially independent authors or self-published authors, who have some really great stuff. Like there's this really big, I guess, animosity towards self-published authors, which I'm actually trying to support a lot more now, and independent authors as well, who go through publishers, but they're hybrid publishers, where the work isn't, I mean, yes, you're still going to get your ones that aren't, at the greatest quality, who haven't done the right amount of work or paid the right people. But then you've got a lot of good stuff that comes out of the woodwork, and they hire a lot of people either via Instagram or online or Facebook or Fiverr to do illustrations. So if you're wanting to illustrate books, I'd highly suggest jumping into a whole bunch of writing groups on Facebook and following a whole bunch of people on Instagram who do that. And you'll find that, just by posting your own work and reaching out and, being a part of those groups, you'll be able to offer your assistance and your name will get out there, where a lot of people will reach out to you and pay you for those kind of illustrations. Great
feedback. Very, very motivating. Kim wins the cup competition. Well, that was short-lived. Okay. It says here, the wine and story queen nerd herself. Do you know Lemmy?
Yeah, I do. That's my partner's brother.
Okay, cool. The zone. Yes, getting in the zone. Tony has a question. Are there any... Oh, this is a good one. Are there any characters based on real people that you actually know? So second
I
question is Tony in one of the books?
Tony isn't. I'm sorry, Tony.
Oh.
I want to say no, but my partner Jared, he thinks that Hansel is based on him, and Hansel's like the main love interest in this story. And he has this theory that because Evelyn is a little bit cold and like her defenses are a little bit up, and Hansel's like this sweet, loving, you know, hope and joy and hero complex, and he's just like, Evelyn's you and Hansel's me, and I'm like, okay, sure.
Right, okay. It's up to interpretation, yeah. And Veronica says thank you for the great
Absolutely.
advice before.
Oh, no problem.
And put me in a book. Whoa. I don't think she knows enough about me yet, but yeah, who knows? Maybe a guitar figure.
Look,
yes.
I have a band in there that is like made up of gremlins. I could call one Doug.
Done. I can be a gremlin. Yes, that would be awesome. Yes, that I want a signed copy of your book. That'll be sick.
Oh my God, I said gremlins. I meant goblins. I'm actually. Goblins.
I'm happy with either. That would be cool. That's very, very cool. And yeah, so there you go, Martin. I might be in a goblin band. What kind of music would goblins play?
Delilah.
Delilah. Very quick, very quick, very quick. The guitar playing fairy. Oh my God, a fairy that shreds. That would be funny. That would be funny. Yes. Okay. So another question about the seriousness of what you're doing. Now you're getting traction. So you've got some. I guess you're getting media attention and the sorts, and now you've got your books in major distribution, which is sensational. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is the pressure on now to follow that up? Like, if you do something amazing, like, how does that feel inside? Are you second guessing yourself? Is that why the next product takes longer? Because you go, oh my God, I've got to get it done.
I'm excited and I'm hugely terrified at the same time. So if anybody doesn't think that I'm terrified, I'm so worried. I'm like, is everybody gonna hate it? If they love it, can I do as well the second time around? Like, what if it's just a one-hit wonder? Like To Kill a Mockingbird. Not that, no, that's a great book. I'm not comparing my book to that just yet. But you know what I mean?
That was subtle. That's subtle. Name drop.
So I'm kind of like, to be honest, I actually like book 2 better than book 1.
Your books.
Yeah, I think book 2 is much better than book 1. I enjoyed writing it more. I think it's got a lot more depth to it. I think book 1 is world building, introducing you to all of these characters, and I think book 2 really starts to pull at the nitty gritty and work its way into a lot of the stuff that you really want to know about. But yeah, I'm absolutely terrified. I'm currently writing book 3 and I'm like, this sucks. And then I reread it and then I can't remember what parts were a bad day and what parts were a good writing day. And it all sort of blurs into one another. And I'm like, editing, it's magic.
And I wanted to ask also, is there any more about the pressure? Stepping up to the pressure? All right.
No.
So being a story fan, my father actually watched DVDs like you would not believe. Technically, he's a film buff. So this is what I understand from The Wizard of Oz. Dead set fan. I had to watch it, whether I liked it or not. Yeah, and it actually has a deeper meaning to me that I'll probably explain to you off air. So the characters, Dorothy, no place like home. That's the theme. And I'm just telling you my interpretation, so it'll be good to get your interpretation. The 3 characters, the lion, courage. So to me, it's representing human condition, right? Human experience, I should say, is that we don't have enough balls to do what we want to do. We need a line in our life, If I only had enough courage, I'd stand up and do something. The Tin Man, if I only had a heart, could you love something that much? Could you step into the passion and step up to the plate? And the other thing is the Scarecrow, if I only had a brain. So those 3 things are the biggest self-talk doubters in the world. And anyway, as the story unfolds, as everyone knows, there's no spoilers here, as Dorothy takes a little troop to find the wizard, it's nothing is mystical. It's just one dude with a microphone. You know,
He's
two tables and a
projecting up.
microphone. Right. So that's what I love about that story, because it's timeless, because it doesn't matter who you are or what you're doing. You have self-doubt where you have enough courage. You don't think you're smart enough. You don't think you can love it enough, per se. And then at the end of the day, when you climb the top and you meet the people who actually do what they do, and you meet them and they're just a human like you with the same insecurities. Hence, it's a cycle. So my question is, like building characters, do you like spend time understanding human psychology, or is that another side thing that you're into? How does that intertwine to something deep and meaningful? That's a big question, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I think Wizard of Oz is one of the greatest movies of all time. I just want to go off that as well. The thing that's beautiful about Wizard of Oz for me, I guess, is that, you know, they think that they need all these things, but by the end of it, they realize that they've already got it. And it's
no
really,
place like
really
home.
nice.
That's right. Yeah, like the Alchemist. Yeah.
So, I mean, with a lot of my characters, I guess I was really afraid that they would be 2D. So a lot of my question was, you know, what kind of drives them? What are they feeling? What are they smelling? What are they hearing? So I know that a lot of authors, I guess, sort of write subplots or backstories for their characters that never actually go into their books. And I'm going to be honest with you, I tried that activity and it did not work for me. Instead, I sort of got lost in a little bit of like, what if? So we'll take Morena, the evil queen, for example. I'd be like, all right, what if Morena was born poor? What if she was born rich? What if she, had a best friend that died tragically? What if she had a best friend that didn't die? Like, what kind of things make her who she is as to where she is now? So what drives her? So a lot of my villain in this is not a black and white villain. So she does things because she thinks that they're the right thing to do for her and her circumstance, whereas other people might think that it's completely horrible, but to her it's completely justified. And to me, that's always made a good villain, because no person is inherently bad or good, no matter how much magical power they possess. So that was a really fun exercise. So if I feel like my characters are falling a bit flat and I need to get to know them, I'll play the what if game.
You play the what if game. Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Insight. Hope everyone's taking notes, because I'm going to be writing that down. I could only find my tradie pencil, but anyway.
It's a great pencil.
Another story. Okay, most fairy tales have the human condition woven into the moral story. So
exactly.
Right. So I spoke to you before about I'm a Joseph Campbell fan. He wrote The Hero's Journey, if that lack of a better word. So I was, for my PhD, I wanted to study music in all these, The Matrix and Star Wars and The Hunger Games, for the different degrees of a journey. Basically, it's a reflection of life if you don't have another thing to base it off. Anyway, that's another story, but I agree to that one. That's the long-winded answer. Is there a moral to your story?
There's lots of morals. So, I touch on sacrifice, I touch on love, I touch on hope, I touch on greed, I touch on, there's a lot of things about the human condition in it where, not necessarily racism in the way that we know it, but definitely when it comes to humans and trolls and fairies and what kind of happens with that, and the Robin Hood aspect of it with taxes, or how people then justify doing things for survival. And absolutely, I touch on the morals and what somebody would do when faced with a certain situation.
And can we unpack how many races are in your book?
So we've got fairies, elves, wood nymphs, tree nymphs, trolls, changelings, humans, witches, the Grimms, but they're more like gods.
So is that... Well, I will just put them in anyway.
Yeah.
That's 9. That's 9 version of characters.
That's 9, and each of them have their own race, I guess. But that's not... It's not an information dump, I promise. It's all fleshed out over the book. So if anyone's going, oh God, don't tell me you name 9 species in like the first chapter,
Wow.
I don't. I promise you. Oh, there's goblins too. Yeah, we forgot the goblins.
Of course,
The
in the band.
dwarves. How did I forget the dwarves? Snow White.
So you've got 11.
7 dwarves. Yeah.
Is there any ogres?
No, there isn't, unfortunately. Maybe I could put them in.
So, oh wow! So how many? So you got dwarves. So you have 11 species, 11 different races.
By the sounds of it, yes. Actually, I do have pixies, so that's 12.
12.
Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
It's like going to Aldi, buy one get a few free. So, and I asked you about studying, human psychology per se.
Yes.
Have you done that like actively, or is it just that you study this by being exposed to good stories, or maybe you've been through experiences yourself, like?
Look, I've been through quite a few in my life for a young person, but also I'm a horrible person in that I love to people watch. I'm that person that loves a cafe where the seats face outwards onto the street and you can just sip your coffee while people walk past and try and envision what their lives are. I'm just all about that.
Pump the book out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that guy over there is buying a coffee for his wife, but he always forgets whether she likes oat milk or almond milk. And then it's like the woman over there, she's, finally got a babysitter for her kids and she's just excited for a wine. So like you just make up stories about people while it's happening, but it's also interesting to see how people react to certain situations too. Like I'm making myself sound like I'm that person that sits at a cafe and I'm just staring at people as they walk by. I swear it's not as creepy as that.
I don't know about that. I'm going to be, now you've given me a new gesture. Like, what are you doing? Writing a book? Yeah. 50,000 words in 30 days. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I promise. That's all it is.
I wish I could write assignments that fast. That's amazing. Like, wow. Imagine how many words you've actually like written your whole life. Like, if you can do 50,000 in, yeah.
So many.
Anyway, that was an awkward silence, but yeah, probably a lot. You wrote 3,000 words today.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So observing life. Yeah. So that's how you get the characters per se out of that. I mean, similar to maybe what comes to mind immediately is John Cleese, Faulty Towers. Like he actually went to a hotel, and those characters in Faulty Towers, which are dead set, I'm a fan. And as I get older, I see more and more, and I think it's called tension of the task. Like any good movie, there's tension of the task. They try to do something.
Yep.
And when they cut to the upstairs scene, this hidden in plain sight, there's like 3 steps that go up and 3 steps that come down. Like it's completely pointless. Like I don't know if you, and it's funny now every time I see it. That was his comedy. It was hidden in plain sight. That they go up, then down 3 steps that do nothing. Does absolutely nothing. Anyway, getting back to the character base, like Manuel was based on an experience he had at a real hotel, So it's kind of cool that this is happening in real life. And, as you're at a cafe, next time I see someone texting at a cafe, I'll ask them what the title is. And we have
I've definitely pinched habits from people from that. So, somebody will pull at their ear when they're nervous, or they'll scratch their brow, or somebody, likes to rub their arms. Or I think something about making characters human is that they have something that they do, like a little twitch or a little habit that they have, because that's what we do as humans. We're habitual characters. So to make it more human, what can you do to add that into that story? I know for me, I twist my nose ring. It's a really awful habit to have, but that's what I do when I'm bored or I'm trying to think.
Is that in the book?
Somebody else. No.
And we got
to. If anybody has a nose ring in the book. I think the troll does, Malik. But
oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's good that you. It's good that you can just, pull these characters' names off the top of your head. Well, so you should if you're 5 books in. And I've got a big question coming up from Phil in a second. This is, but first, Veronica, do you lose track of time when you write, like getting lost in the flow zone?
Absolutely. I can blink and an hour and a half has gone by, and all I'll be doing is getting up for, a toilet or coffee break, and it's kind of just like, oh wow, it's 2:30. You get in the zone and you get a bit lost in it, and when you step back in, sometimes it's as if you've got one foot in, you know, the fairy tale realm or your book realm, and you've got the other foot in reality, and kind of in that haze. I don't know if you guys have ever finished a movie or a really good book series, and that 15 minutes after it, you're kind of in that, I guess, floating state where you're kind of like, oh, it's over. What do I do now? And then you sort of go back to reality. It's sort of like that. You're still sort of floating over here in your world, and then over here is in reality. Oh, okay, I've got to call that person to organize something over here. So yeah, absolutely.
That even just that insight of what you're trying to create, like, that is amazing. Like, I mean, it happens, but as an author, just to have an author articulate that that's the process that you're trying to create, you know, to have your audience sit and think, like, that's amazing. That's so cool. Okay, big question from New Zealand. Here we go. Well, it's nearly cut my head off. Excellent. So, when you are writing a series, do you feel the need launch into another completely different series of books, or is the focus just the main series and you're currently working on that, you drive to lead into the next book? Did I read that right? Do you work on one series at a time?
Yeah, so would I work on one series at a time, or do I get another idea and start another book? Look, there's a lot of authors and writers that I know who can write multiple stories, but there's also a lot of people that I know that can read multiple book series at the same time. I am not one of those people. I am a one book at a time kind of girl. I am a one writing series at a time kind of girl. I cannot figure out how people read 5 different stories at the same time and do not get confused. I'm like, so for me, this series is very much, I've got ideas, I'll jot down my next storyline, or, what if this person, lives in a squatter city? How there are some squatter cities in countries. Like, what if we do like a treasure hunt in a squatter city? And then that'll be, an idea that I put in a sentence for another book. I'm going to write that down.
I got song titles.
Yeah, you've got song titles, or you might come up with a line that you really, really like that, rhymes or resonates with you in some form or another, and that, might contribute to a song or a piece of music that you're creating at the time. And it's similar for my books as well. I'll put down ideas, or I mentioned my brother to you before. Like, there's a fairy tale story that I'm currently writing surrounding my experiences with him growing up. But they're always, I do projects big wise or books wise. I will stick with the same one. So I'm a little bit boring in that aspect, but can't not do it.
Yeah, no, that's good, because workflow is very, very important to getting any job done, right?
Absolutely.
Because if you don't understand how you work best. Yeah, I like that. And says here, we've already had that one. And then, yes, but it is reality. And we could be living in someone else's book. We could be living in someone else's book. Yes, that's true. Sweet. Phil says sweet as from New Zealand. That's awesome. So probably another couple of questions. If anyone's got any more questions, we'll be wrapping this up very shortly. But we spoke before about advice on how to write a book, because I'd like to maybe write a book about a spin-off into grief, and we sort of unpacked that a little bit. But you had this really, really cool take, or you said something really cool. I don't know if you remember what you said. The forgotten grief?
Oh, forgotten grief of siblings. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to unpack that. And my question is, going through that experience of losing your brother, has that motivated you to become a workhorse, like to just get so much work done? Has that impacted, or were you already like that beforehand? Because I'm only asking because I've lost my sister, and the energy that I have, like, some people ask me all the time, I don't even sleep. Well, it's actually true, because I'm just keep working, just getting stuff done. So anyway, just us asking,
Yeah. Look, I think in every other aspect of my life I did. Like, I was working 7:30 to 5:30 at my regular job, and, I was doing the house, and I was seeing my friends, and I was booking holidays, and I'm, trying to do everything that you should do. The only thing that really I struggled with was my writing, to be honest. It went the opposite way. I actually felt as if my creativity got sucked out of me a little bit. I actually only started rewriting or getting back at a book 3 maybe about a week ago. So it's actually been a very quiet few months on the writing end, just to, I guess, try and get my head back into it. So book
and
3
sorry
will
to hear
be
if you
for
lost.
him.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Book 3 will be for him. So I think that's sort of what's given me that push at the end of the day. Because unfortunately he never got to read The Gilded Mirror. So yeah.
Yes, yeah. And I know it's completely fresh situation. So again, applaud you to just getting the job done. Yeah. Okay, we're going to move on to another top, maybe 2 more questions. If anyone's got a question, we'll wrap it up. Maybe my question is, the best advice you can give someone who wants to get this done. So they've got an idea, but the idea doesn't mean anything, it's the work. So what is the best advice to get the work done?
Ooh. So this is the worst and the best advice I ever got, to be honest. I hated it at the time, but it's something that I echo over and over again. Just get it down. So just write it. Get a word count, whether it's 500 words a day, no more, no less. Just hit that amount, and every single day you'll get more than you had before. But do not look back. Ignore spelling mistakes, ignore paragraphs, ignore everything, and just wherever you stopped off the day before, just keep going. At the time, I hated that, because the biggest thing for me was that I would go back and edit, and then I'd edit so much and I'd start a new a new chapter, but I never actually ended up finishing the piece of work. And the best thing I did was I would do my word count of my 500 or 1,000 words, or in the case of NaNoWriMo, the 2,000. But I did not read that work until the manuscript was complete. And I found that it's the only way that I finish a book now. I start writing it and I just keep going. I don't look back. I don't. So any plot holes or gaps or anything, that comes in the second edit when I go through it. And then grammar and everything, it can just be a problem.
So get the job done, then start editing it.
Get it out, and then start finding where the loopholes are, character inconsistencies, whether or not that's where you want the story to go. If it isn't, you can swap and change scenes around. You can do a full rewrite. And that's why by the time it's, published, you've had 12 edits of it, because that's sort of the process that goes into it. But the first step is just start writing and just get it down first. Ignore whether or not it makes sense, ignore spelling mistakes, ignore all of that. Just get it down, and anything that you think's missing or anything that you want to change or take out, that can all be done in the editing process. That's a future you problem as a writer. For now, just get it out of here.
I'm going to use that as a song title. Future you problem. I love it. So, and we have a couple of comments here. Amazing honesty with your brother. Very inspiring. That's awesome. Thanks, Christy. And then Veronica, I still have concept notes for artwork since my teenage years. Awesome. And lost ya. I'm not sure what's happening there. And love that you're having some fresh juice. You're amazing. Well done purchasing tonight. Awesome, Monica. I haven't met Monica yet, but I've heard all about her. Do you have any socials that people can... and do you have any socials? Yes.
Yes, so I have Instagram and I have Facebook. So Instagram is under KE Barden Author. Facebook is under KE Barden. My website is kebarden.com.au. I'm also just about to start my very first TikTok account, so pray for me, because I've never used TikTok in my life. So I've just registered an account. I haven't made a video yet, but again, remember, I'm in lockdown. There's so many adventures I can have inside my house.
Okay, awesome. And we're done. And when we finish this, please go and type your socials all through this stream, so get people connecting to you. And so everyone that's watching, please like and follow and subscribe, and buy Kim's book. Buy her book.
Please.
Yes. Have all the
I want that special edition.
Right. So how many thousand books do you have to sell before you can do a hardcover one?
A lot. I think
that was 100,000. 100,000.
I don't know. I think it's 100,000 or more. It was a figure. I think that was thrown at me, but it's probably something that I could negotiate with my publisher in future. But yeah, at this stage, like the more I can get, hopefully the better. But also, hopefully people like the book. I really want people to enjoy it. So I want people to read it and say, hey, this is a really good book. You are going to love it. And then sort of, word of mouth, I think, is one of the best marketing tools that we have, which has not changed in the last 100 years.
Yeah, and I must say, now that you've said all that about the hardcover book, now I have so much more respect for when I see a hardcover book, because that means they've proved themselves, like it's actually sold enough units. I know, I'm just making that up. I'm being what's it called? Pantser, whatever it's called.
Seat of your pants.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, cool. Next question. Tony says, do you get other people to edit? Or is there a secret squirrel business?
So I edit it about 3 times before I give it to what I call a beta reader. So I've actually got a beta reader who used to be one of my staff members. So I used to be a team leader. And she likes a lot of young adult books, and she reads my books early, and she'll come back talking to me about, this character did something that was really off, or, this chapter I found a bit boring because of this here, like we sort of need something exciting to happen, or, I didn't quite understand what was happening here. So she sort of gives me those little loopholes that maybe I haven't picked up on because I've read it so many times. And as you probably understand, when you read a piece of work so many times, the good and the bad sort of, you can't pick.
It starts blurring, yeah.
It blurs together, and then you don't know whether or not you're actually removing the good bits because you stared at it for too long. So she's my fresh eyes, and I'll go through that, and then by the time I've done that with my beta reader, I'll then give it to my editor at the publishing house who'll then edit it. I'll then probably do 3 or 4 swaps with her. And then after that, I've then got a formatting editor, and the formatting editor goes through and does my speech, the formatting of the book, last minute corrections, things like that. So definitely there's a few sets of eyes that look over books before they're even looked at before putting on the shelf. Yeah.
That's amazing insight, because when you see a book, you don't see that. I mean, the same as picking up a CD or whatever. No one sees all the effort and all the other 100 million takes you do and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, great insight. That is such good advice. That would be for writing a song. Yes, just get the job done. And it says here, I can't wait to read this. I ordered mine online at Dimmicks. That's amazing. Do you know Christy?
Cool, thank you. Yeah, I do know Christy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sensational. Well done. So be like Christy, go and order the book at Dimmicks. And congratulations, Kim, good work. And
thanks,
you want them to read it more than once. You want them to read it more than once? That's a good... Yeah, what's your take on that? Because like when I was watching movies, I always had this thing as a kid. It's like, no, I've already seen it. I've only seen it once. But as I get older and understand writing script of movie and how many takes, and then I rewatch a movie that I love, and I was like, oh, I never knew that part was even in there. It's a nice surprise. So what's your take on rereading?
I think everyone's favorite books or movies are something that you want to see more than once, because when you watch it more than once, you always get something new out of it. I don't know about you, but I saw Avatar twice at the cinema, and I've seen it so many times since it came out. I love Avatar, but Little Mermaid as well. I'm almost 30, and I think I've watched that about a dozen times. That came out in 1989. So
hang on, you said one thing that was really mind-blowing. You said you're almost 30, and you're up to number. Wow, that is inspirational.
I'm releasing.
I know you're up to 3. It's all right. I'm talking it up. Yeah, that's what this is, media, right? Trying to get people excited that, because 80% of income is not from new customers. It's called repeat customers.
Yes. So I guess in short, I do want people to reread it. I want them to reread book 1 before book 2 comes out, because they're excited to read book 2. And then I want them to reread book 1 and 2 again when book 3 is almost out, because they're excited for book 3. I want them to do it all over again as it keeps going. And every couple of years, I want them to look at it and read it again. You know, like there's so many books that I read over and over again. Like I think I read Lord of the Rings every third Christmas. I make that a thing that I do. So that's what I do on my week off. And it's just like a little tradition of mine because I love it so much. And I think, you know, when books are meant to be read and they're meant to be loved and they're meant to be shared. So yeah, absolutely. If somebody wants to read it more than once, then I have done my job right, and it makes me feel warm and fuzzy on the inside.
So when you're reading such a big doorstop of a book, do you like use a speed reading technique, or like you must be able to read very, very quickly? Like, how do you, or do you just like do the speed reading technique where you just stare at the middle of the page and you pick up like 60 or 70%? Because I went to this speed reading course. Yeah. Anyway, it was cool. Then if you don't do it, you lose it. But anyway, what's your technique on that?
I've just been told that I'm a fast reader. I just sit down with the book and I just read it. But also I walk and read. So I'm not writing on my phone.
Ernest Hemingway.
I'm also a walking reader. Yeah. I've never actually fallen. I've never fallen before, and everybody always told me that one day you're going to be walking and you're going to fall over. Get this, 2 weeks ago, I'm walking from my house in Brisbane City down the hill, and I fall into the garden, and I hit a rock, and my book was like flung up in the air, but I was still holding it on its page because it was a first edition. I was like, no, not the book. And my whole leg was like bruised and like scarred, and my boss is looking at me like, are you okay? And I'm sitting there with an ice pack in the leadership meeting like, I'm so sorry.
There's just here skydiving whilst reading. There we go. Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine the pages flapping in your face while you're skydiving. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I think we've gone through all the questions there, but I just want to say and just, you know, just acknowledge that, wow, just a mountain of work that you've actually done, and the passion is, you know, I think that's insatiable that it's, what do you call it? I should have brought my thesaurus out, but what do you call it? It's inspiring. It's very, very inspiring to be around people who are in the art, basking in the art and wanting to get the job done. And yeah, so cool that this is happening for you. So we'll have to get you on again soon, and, you know, when the next one's out, and just keep chipping away. And so
thank you.
And probably the last question I have, does a good reader make a good writer, or are they unrelated? Because someone who eats good cooking, they may eat well, who loves good cooking, cannot cook.
Be able to cook.
Yeah, right. And I'm asking for a friend.
There's a very famous author, I think, actually, like now that I'm thinking on, I'm pretty sure it's Stephen King, who says that the more you write, the more you read, and vice versa. So if you're a writer, you should be reading a lot. You know, and if you're a reader and you do write, vice versa. So it is something that sort of comes hand in hand. Whether or not as a reader turning into a writer, whether or not you're good, like for all I know, you know, everyone could buy this book today and just be like, wow, she sounded charming, but her words do not come across the same. So we'll see how the reviews go, but I'd say write anyway. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think everything's going to be perfect, but if it's something that calls you in your heart, do it anyway, because there's only one you, and there's only one form of that version that's going to come out of your head, and nobody's going to know about it unless you share it. So good is in the eye of the beholder. Someone might like it, somebody else might not.
And your favourite quote, favorite quote?
Oh, that's a hard one, because they're always Disney ones.
Okay, favourite, because you're wearing the shirt, what's your favourite Star Wars quote?
I love you, I know.
my favourite, okay, fair enough. So can you tell me which movie that's from? It's Princess Leia, is it?
Well, it's Princess Leia and Han Solo. So when he's like working on the wall, and then she's like, I love you, and he's like, I know.
My favourite Star Wars ones is leave him to me, I will deal with him myself. Darth Vader. Anyway, but anyway, thank you again. Please stay online, and awesome work. Please stay online for a second, and I'll just wrap this up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Tony's got the last comment here. Amazing interview. Well done, Kim. Such an inspiration. Thank you, Tony, for making this happen. Because how it unfolded, Tony says, hey, my friend just released a book. And I was like, that's amazing. You should get her on my show. And he goes, okay, cool. And rings you immediately. So the whole interaction lasted for about 3 seconds. And I just want to thank you for just just engaging, just getting it, just doing it. So yeah, it's sensational. And Phil in New Zealand says, thanks for your time. And we have both sides of America online right now and also in Canada. So, anyone internationally, please buy the book. And
Thank
like and
you.
subscribe. There is no try, only do.
Do not do. Yes.
Yes, cool. Thanks for your time. Excellent. All right, please stay on the line for a sec, Kim. And thank you again. And I just want to say thank you for everyone that's watching. Please like and subscribe. There's my little thing down there. Make some noise. That's the name of the show. I probably should have had that running since the beginning of the show. But I was so excited about the books, I totally forgot to put it up. One job. And thanks, Doug. Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. This is exciting, meeting the author behind the works. I know Kim says there's 3 books out, but there's 5 in the pipe, which is sensational. Under 30, and it's already happening. It's not going to, it's already happening. And what's the other thing I need to do here? There it is. Thank you again for watching. See you again next time.